Good morning, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. Today, we're very pleased to be able to welcome you with today's session, Powering Your Digital Transformation Journey. I would now like to hand it over to our host today, Fadi Kasatli from KPMG. Over to you, Fadi. Thank you.
Thank you, Dalia. Good afternoon, everyone. I want to reiterate our welcome, our combined welcome from both KPMG and Outsystems to everyone on the call today to discuss low-code, no-code, and specifically Outsystems and how this set of solutions can help really drive your digital journey going forward. We have prepared an exciting session. A number of panelists are going to be joining me today to discuss different facets of how you can go about your low-code, no-code journey. So with me today, I have Rodrigo Castello, Vice President, Middle East and Africa for Outsystems, Ankit Uppal, a Director driving our low-code, no-code practice at KPMG Lower Gulf, Dominguez Ferreira, who is a former combined client of both organizations and with whom we have worked extensively on deploying solutions using Outsystems, Bruno Martins, my fellow associate partner from our Portugal Center of Excellence on low-code, no-code and Outsystems, and last but surely not least, Hisham Barania, who is a solution architect for Outsystems here in the Middle East and Africa. We have prepared today a very exciting session that will tackle a number of facets of the low-code journey. But before, let me introduce myself a little bit. My name is Fadi Kasatli, and I am a partner with KPMG. I drive the overall digital practice for KPMG in the Lower Gulf. And that includes everything from digital strategy to implementations, enterprise applications, data and analytics, as well as cyber. And low-code, no-code has become a big part of our practice here in the Middle East to help serve our clients. Look, we have been for many years driving digital implementations for our clients. And today I can, with very strong confidence, say that there is no digital transformation that would go complete without some aspect of low-code, no-code. These types of technologies, and specifically Outsystems, will bring you a number of enhancements to your overall architecture, and it will provide you agility, speed. It will increase collaboration between IT and your business. It will help you modernize your legacy systems. And all of this, it will do it with a much lower total cost of ownership. So it has become part and parcel of any digital landscape that you have to expand some of your existing solution and develop new solution. The way I look at it, it's a combination between a build versus buy decision. It's somewhere in the middle. It gives you the heads up to be able to deploy new solutions, develop them, but in a much more efficient way with obviously a very, very strong result. Low-code, no-code, like any digital transformation, will not come without any challenges. The way we like to look at it from our vantage point as consultants advising our customers is to provide some level of structure and governance to these new technologies and these new platforms. Left unchecked, anything in digital, in systems will and can go haywire, and hence we need to really above and beyond deploying this solution, make sure that we put in the right governance mechanism so that it stays in check and it really, really provide the value and the promise. There's a big promise for low-code, a big promise for Outsystems, and with the right management of the deployment of this solution, I think the promise, and as we will hear today from one of our clients, this promise is real. What you see on the screen is our agenda, a combination of the vision, a combination of a story from a client, a case study. You will see stuff in action. So I won't stand any longer between you and the great content that we have prepared for you today. And with that, I would like to hand over to Rodrigo to discuss how we fast-track innovation with low-code. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Fadi. Good afternoon, everyone. Very happy to be here in our webinar with jointly with KPMG. Great audience. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Rodrigo Castelo. I'm Vice President for Outsystems across Middle East and Africa. Been with Outsystems since 2004 and responsible for the region for almost a decade now. I'm here to talk about low code and how low code can fast track your innovation. Noting that not all low code platforms are made alike. Here you'll know about Outsystems, but before going there, a bit of a known statement, right? Companies out there, all the massive companies that are growing to multi-billion dollars, are using custom software to redefine their markets. As an example, if you go to an Opel e-commerce or Renault e-commerce, you understand that they actually use the same software. There's no difference from a user experience whatsoever. They are using a package. Conversely, if you go to a Toyota or a Tesla, you see that the user experience is tailored and custom and much nicer, actually. So to differentiate yourself from the competitors, you need to build custom software and a customer experience, not just for your employees, but also most important for your clients and partners. Now, these companies you see here have the luxury of hiring top-notch talent. They also have the luxury of starting from zero. They didn't have any legacy. The rest of us don't have that luxury. We need to work with the tools that we have. We need to work with the processes that we have, the people that we have, and plus the legacy of decades that we have, right? So that's why it's really so hard for every organization to build these custom systems. First of all, it's hard on the connection with business from an IT perspective, the alignment. The backlogs are growing exponentially. There are ever more requirements every day. There's a talent shortage worldwide, a dramatic talent shortage for building these systems that now need dozens of different technologies. And then it's really hard to build these systems. The non-functional requirements that they require these days are very difficult to achieve in terms of performance, scalability, usability, security, which is paramount these days. And then everything is changing constantly. So it's not just about building a first version of something. It's how do you keep updating that version to meet the business requirements and the user demands, right? On top of that, you have staff turnover, new technologies that appear every day. So you have to reskill your IT team. So it's really a challenge. And then the cloud appeared some decades back with the promise that it will simplify things. And what companies are actually experiencing is that it's not that simple. Why? Because you used to have packages, now you have dozens of cloud providers, which one to pick. Each one of those cloud providers has dozens, if not hundreds of different technologies inside that you need to learn. And again, finding the talent that knows how to master those technologies to your profit is very, very difficult. So it continues to be a problem even with the cloud, and the challenge is getting bigger because of the exponential number of new technologies that appears paired with the talent shortage. So, but that said, the cloud did help reducing part of an application lifecycle. So you have the infrastructure, you have the base software operating system, etc. Then you have the software development lifecycle, and eventually you get into DevOps after the first version, monitoring and continuously changing the application. So the cloud did help accelerate the infrastructure and the setup of configuration, so you could start development sooner. But that was also dramatically complexified with the native cloud that we have today, with Kubernetes, with the containers. I've been talking with clients that took 6 months and more than $500,000 just to set up the infrastructure and the configurations to start one line of code in a container cloud native approach, right? So what if you could just turn something on and start developing? Well, that's Outsystems, right? Not only it compresses the development lifecycle, and I'll explain why, but you can start directly on Outsystems Cloud. You can also have it on premise if you still prefer, or regulations are in place that do not allow you to use the cloud. You can start with Outsystems directly in the software development. And then you can develop much faster. Most important, you can continuously change cost effectively. And it's a technology that is easy to learn. You'll understand why on the next slides. And the security, performance, scalability is all built into the platform so that your IT team can focus more on the functionality and less on the technical aspects. So let's delve a bit into Outsystems as the platform. Our mission is to give every single company in the globe the power to innovate through custom software, and to innovate fast, right, and be ready for the future. So we have 3 core tenets on our philosophy and on our product. First of all is that everything needs to be built extremely fast. We have clients 10 times more productive than they were with other technologies, delivering new applications. But without compromising on building it right. So you need to build things fast, but you need to build things fast that are secure, that scale, that have great usability, and that do not generate technical debt, that you can continuously change at low cost. Plus, and most important, you need to build for the future, because today's native mobile phones, wearables, in 5 years, there will be something else. You will have to train the team again to build applications for that something else. With Outsystems, you don't have to do that, because we invest in the platform, so we support whatever comes, so you don't have to completely throw away and rebuild systems just because the stack changed or because the way users interact with the digital systems changed. As an anecdotal example, our first client back in 2001 was a telco. Back in 2001, they were building their marketing campaigns in WAP, if you remember the internet in the Nokia phones. Nowadays, those same applications are supporting smartphones without the client having to throw everything away and rebuild from the beginning. Definitely, it's not a zero cost upgrade, but it's not throwing everything away. You can reuse all the data, the logic, the services that you have, and eventually have to rebuild only the interface. So much faster. So what use cases are most common supported by Outsystems? Definitely customer experience transformation, very common, be it for private sector, your retail e-commerce, your retail banking, be it for government, your citizen experience platform, your citizen e-services. Plus the workplace innovation, very common over the past 2 years when people had to suddenly move to completely 100% remote work, and the systems were not ready for that, which is actually a sub-process of another very common scenario, which is process automation, where you are optimizing and automating your internal processes. All the way to the last use case, which is app modernization, that happens in 2 different fashions. One is when you have a legacy technology where you build hundreds of applications and you need to migrate those applications to a newer stack because the technology is no longer support. The example of Oracle Forms, Lotus Notes applications, all the way to build complete core systems end-to-end on top of Outsystems, because there's no package in the market that covers that core system. An example of this is the Toyota just-in-time manufacturing system is built on top of Outsystems because it's very specific to Toyota. They need to build it custom, and a way to build it custom faster and with lower TCO over the years is using Outsystems. So delving a bit in Outsystems, it's a full stack platform supporting visual modeling of your database, your logic, your business rules, your user interface, all in one integrated environment. with deep pixel perfect control over the user interface. So any interface that you want to build, you can build with Outsystems. There's no limitation in terms of the look and feel and the user experience, with embedded process automation. So workflow modeling and execution, business process modeling and execution. Users can actually put feedback directly on the application. So that reduces dramatically the cycle between testing and the cycle between stakeholders and business and IT, because instead of sending an email, taking screenshots, whatever, right on the application, any user that is enabled to use this feature can type in, I need to see here a chart with whatever, as an example. DevOps included, embedded into the technology. Again, this is a life cycle platform to build, maintain, and operate through decades your applications, keeping them fresh, always up to date in terms not technically, but also in terms of the business requirements. So staging between environments is automated. Monitoring of the applications in production, monitoring of performance, of security flaws, etc. It comes with an architecture dashboard, which is the perfect tool for your enterprise architects to monitor that there is no technical debt. So automatically the platform detects patterns of code that is not being reused, that should be reused, as an example, of queries that are being called millions of times and are not optimized, so that your technical debt is always green instead of red. And it comes already with all the common services that are needed in all applications, so you don't have to waste time on rebuilding them. Plus, we have a very extensive network of a community network with very extensive network of components and plugins that range from simple connectors to specific integrations, all the way to complete applications that you can plug and play and then change at your will. And last but not least, flexible deployment. You can have it on Outsystems Cloud, you can have it on your public cloud, AWS, Azure, you can have it on your private cloud, you can have it on your data center. There's multiple options for deployment. If you go for the cloud, you have the benefits of having HIPAA compliance, if you are in healthcare, PCI compliance for banking and payments, and some other compliances that we assure from our cloud offering perspective. If you go on premise, some of these things need to be managed by your internal team. And to end my portion of this webinar, just some references across Middle East and Africa. We are not new to the region. We have been here for over a decade. Many different EPIC customers, not just in UAE, but across GCC and the broader Africa also. So hope this was useful to understand a bit better what Outsystems is. And now over to you, Ankit.
Thank you, Rodrigo. So just as a quick introduction, my name is Ankit and I work as a director with KPMG in the Lower Gulf. I lead the low-code, no-code solutions for KPMG in the Lower Gulf and work with the clients in the space of digital transformation, comprising of customer experience, digital strategy, implementation, and as well as setting up digital factories. So today, as a part of this webinar, for the next 10 minutes, I'll be talking about KPMG's perspective with regards to low-code, no-code platforms, in terms of how we are seeing our clients adopting and implementing low-code platforms as a part of their technology stack. So when it comes to digital transformation, we see that all organizations, they are undergoing digital transformation in one way or the other. Some of the organizations are very successful in their digital transformation journeys. Then there are organizations who are also stuck as a part of the digital transformation journey, which could be because of some some failure that they faced as a part of system implementation, or it could be something to do with the vendor reliance, or and so forth. And the third one is, where we have seen companies also fail as a part of the digital transformation. So broadly, from a KPMG perspective, having worked with clients in the space of digital transformation and digital strategy, we see three themes as to why digital transformation journeys sometimes fail. The first one is, when the progress comes very slow. So this is typically when organizations are working more towards, using complex out-of-the-box solutions, but at the same time, the out-of-the-box solutions are not able to cater to the entire digital landscape, which requires traditional development, which requires hyper customization, and hence the progress becomes very slow as compared to what the organizations would have initially anticipated. Now, this slow progress also limits the ability for organizations to be agile, to be able to address to changes in regulations, in terms of the customer demands, in terms of the competition, and so forth. The second one is, and the second theme is the vendor overload. So this is a common problem that we discuss with our clients as well, that there are multiple softwares and there are multiple technologies within the technology stack, which makes the entire technology stack to be cluttered and makes it much more complex, with a high degree of reliance on not one but multiple vendors when it comes to the software and as well as the technologies. So this is another area where we have seen organizations in terms of trying to simplify their technology stack, in terms of rationalizing the overall applications within their landscape. And the third one is a lot of proof of concepts. So that's another area where we have seen sometimes organizations, because they experiment with a different proof of concepts in terms of emerging technologies, whether it's blockchain, whether it's machine learning, or whether it's artificial intelligence and so forth, it becomes almost like a garage of toys with different siloed experiments which organizations try to implement, but they don't see much of a success from that standpoint. Now, when it comes to application development, there are three approaches that organizations undertake when it comes to application development. The first one is the enterprise application platforms. So this is basically the buy side of things, where organizations buy out of the box, off the shelf products, and then they configure to meet the requirements. The second one is the traditional development, which is more around the build, because here organizations are building from the scratch. It's hyper customization in terms of ensuring that the needs of the customers, the needs of the business are met. And the third one is the low-code platform, which is where organizations are now, being a new approach, organizations are experimenting in terms of the different business applications that they can put on these low-code platforms. Now, if you look at the current state today, we see that enterprise application platforms consume about 60% of the total applications within the organization's landscape. However, enterprise applications also come with some limitations, like they're very rigid, the modules are not interoperable, and they're not very you cannot customize the requirements to a high degree. So what organizations do is they try to combine this enterprise application then with the traditional development, and they introduce different aspects of traditional development into this, which is where we see organizations using traditional development to about 35% in terms of enhancing their existing applications or building new applications. And then, as I said, the low-code platforms, because the organizations are starting small, so they use low-code platforms either for mobile apps, either for process automation, or for different use cases. However, the way we look at the future of the application development as KPMG, we see that low-code platforms will start dominating the application development space, where low-code platforms will start comprising of 65% of the entire application development space. This is also the prediction from Gartner, where Gartner has also very clearly defined that by 2024, 65% of the organizations will start using and implementing low-code platforms at scale. However, we also see when low-code platforms are introduced and are adopted at this scale, the enterprise application platforms will then be used by organizations for the core modules, because there is no substitute for it when it comes to the core systems, and organizations, they do require it. And this is how the enterprise applications will be able to complement low-code platforms as well. And traditional development will reduce drastically to somewhere around 5%, because all that traditional development can do in terms of functionalities, features, is also available on low-code platforms, and hence organizations would be moving more towards low-code platforms. Hence, overall, if we look at the buy and the build, we see low-code as the middle ground to the buy and the build spectrum. When it comes to low code, the conversations that we have as well with the clients is why low code platform? So essentially, low code platform allows the businesses, allows the organizations to use the low code platforms, which comprise of pre-built repositories of codes, and use it as a drag and drop functionality to be able to implement business applications, to be able to design business applications together with business at a much more faster rate. Some of the key features which make low code stand out is it's got a visual full stack development. It is very rich when it comes to user interface. There are also very different low code platforms in the market. However, the multi-experience development platform like Outsystems, they come with very rich user interface, which again, you can drag and drop instead of re-engineering the entire process or reinventing the wheel. Then low-code platforms also come with the full cycle management. It comes with its own DevOps tool. However, if the organization is currently used to using an existing DevOps tool, it can pretty much be integrated into the low-code platform. Another standout functionality of a low-code platform is you can deploy it to any device. So whether it's iOS, whether it's Android, you don't have to recode it. You can pretty much use the entire code repository and replicate it. In terms of the integration, because of the pre-built connectors, it becomes much more easier to use low-code platforms, from a middleware perspective in terms of integration as well. So leading enterprises are adopting a low code to accelerate their digital journeys, and we see this in 4 areas. The first one is deploying new digital solutions. This includes the likes of portals, mobile apps, where organizations are either are digitizing their entire services, or they are digitizing even the forms in terms of information collection, information retrieval, and so forth. The second one is automating the business processes. So this is where organizations are using low code, to automate processes, whether it's the core or the support functions, in terms of hyper automation, in terms of integrating with RPAs, in terms of building workflows, because low code platforms come with a very strong BPM engine as well. The third one is integrate and orchestrate. Now, when it comes to integration and orchestration, low-code platforms, as they come with a pre-built connector, it becomes much more easier to integrate with the legacy systems, whether it's SAP, whether it's Oracle, whether it's Office 365 in terms of the CRM system. So it comes with the pre-built connectors, and building the data canonical model becomes much more easier using these low-code platforms. And the last one is modernizing the legacy systems and apps. So this is where we are seeing a lot of organizations, they're modernizing their legacy systems, whether it's the core banking system, the core insurance system, or their core the core modules as such. They're either enhancing their core systems, or they are moving their modules to the low-code platforms. Now, the benefits when it comes to the low-code platforms, essentially there are 4 key benefits. One, it allows the IT and the business to collaborate, and this having done a lot of implementations, this is one of the greatest benefits that you see from a low-code platform, because it rather than IT or the entire digital team being occupied only in coding, it frees up that time. It allows brainstorming. It allows design thinking between the business and as well as IT in terms of thinking of the solutions, in terms of designing the applications together. So that's one of the most important advantages. The second one is the velocity speed, or the speed of application development increases drastically. The organizations that we have worked with, we have seen up to 10 times faster results in terms of application development, and the velocity in terms of application development, testing, DevOps, it increases to about 60 to 70%. The third one is the total cost of ownership. Because of the faster implementation speed, because of lower cost of maintenance, and because you can add more business applications without adding more license cost in terms of introducing new technologies, the total cost of ownership can come down by up to 40% when organizations use low-code platforms at the right scale. And that's another point, where we have seen that organizations are also using low-code platforms increasingly in terms of adopting and as well as increasing the scale as well, because rather than just using it for one or two applications, the organizations are increasingly using low-code across their front end, across their middleware, and as well as the back end as well. Now, when it comes to the adoption of low-code platforms, organizations typically take a threefold journey. The first one is the short term, where they define the overall vision and the use cases for the low-code platform, and then they experiment, with the first use case, which is very well thought of, with a very clear business case, and in terms of measuring the return as well. The second one is the midterm, which is where the organizations set up a center of excellence or a digital factory, so that it becomes a continuous cycle in terms of building applications, enhancing applications, getting feedback from the customers, and releasing functionalities and features in a very short time period, in about a week's time. So this is where the digital factory is set up. And the third one is really the sustainability. And the sustainability focuses more about getting your different applications then onto this low-code platform, and identifying and rationalizing that which applications can be brought to the low-code platform to harness the benefits, to harness the power of the low-code platform. So that's how we see how organizations unfold their journey when it comes to adoption of a low-code platform. Now, when it comes to KPMG and Outsystems, we have been working together. So KPMG has been partnering with Outsystems to implement digital solutions for the clients for the last 10 years. We have a team of more than 100 certified developers, locally, regionally, and as well as globally. And together with Outsystems, we have deployed 100+ solutions in the market, working with different clients, whether it's public sector, private sector, banks, insurance companies, family groups, and so forth. With that, I'll hand over to Bruno and Domenico.
Thank you, Ankit. So my name is Bruno Martins. I lead the Center of Excellence for Outsystems for KPMG. I have the honor of having with me here Domingos Ferreira, who was the technology and operations for Santander Consumer Finance in Portugal, and he oversees this great use case that we are going to drive you through. If we go to the next slide, a quick intro on Santander Consumer. Kit, can we move?
Thank you, Bruno.
So Santander Consumer Portugal is a part of the Santander Group, a top 10 global financial services group. It provides credit solutions to consumers, both directly and through leading consumer goods and automotive partners. And so, Domingos, you started this big transformation project back in 2017 using Outsystems. Can you share with us the major challenges you faced at that time?
Thank you, Bruno. Yes, of course. Let me talk a little bit about me. I work the last 40 years in banking in different groups, and the last 13 in Santander Consumer Portugal. And my last 3 years, because now I am retired, was managing this project as a strategist, as a manager, not as an IT guy. And I'm very pleased to be sharing my experience on this project. And I have some notes about this because we have a short time to explain, because this is very complex, but I will try to share with all of you my experience on this. At the bank, based on successive mergers and acquisitions, that led us to a complex IT architecture, which added costs and delays to every IT-related improvement and innovation. At the same time, we were struggling to adapt to a fast-changing market. The bank's business strategy was to diversify, and we tried to become a major player in the consumer loans market. We were increasing the durables business and growing the auto business. We were the leaders. To achieve these goals, we should escape the inertia imposed by the art to change legacy IT, to speed up the launch of new products, services, and digital services experiences.
So if we go to the next slide, so to address these goals, so the bank went through a full-blown digital transformation together with KPMG. It went from strategy to designing a new operating model and digital architecture, very important, to governing the transformation, to building and deploying the digital assets and solutions. Can you describe some key takeaways from this transformation?
Okay, a key point to the transformation was the definition of a new agile architecture to replace many of the 20-year-old systems. Outsystems was the heart of this new architecture. Following an extensive evaluation, we have selected Outsystems for some of the usual criteria like fit for agile development, ease and speed of development, support for API integration. But more than this, it was very important when we could come up with Outsystems and KPMG to a common understanding of the full extent of the proposed wide-ranging transformation. And this isn't just technology. It was a common understanding of strategy and business. This is a key point because for me, and I think for a lot of people, a digital transformation is not only about IT. The real achievement was also the capability to quickly launch new propositions to market with simplified, digitally optimized process, with significant improvement in customer experience, compliance with a strict regulatory environment. So we have put together a company-wide task force to digitally transform every aspect of the business, including product, process, channels, and IT. The organization and process that you need to approve alone in days are not the same as to approve alone in minutes. This is just an example. Another important point is that any transformation required a cultural shift. And to accomplish this, we needed to get the buy-in from the entire organization that was suspicious of a change of such magnitude. They had to see to believe. Having the ability with this solution to quickly build the first solutions really allowed us to build the needed trust.
Very well, thank you. If you go to the next slide, I think we can tackle another key aspect of this whole transformation, which was reusability. And so by building a set of digital assets throughout the transformation process that could be mixed and matched to build new solutions, Santander was able to further increase productivity and reduce the time to market. Can you comment a bit on this approach, Domingos?
Yes, since the beginning, the goal of the new architecture The goal of the new architecture was to enable fast and flexible development, maximize the possible reuse of the code across multiple products and channels. Actually, the accelerators that were originally built in Portugal also allowed us to scale across the group. An example is the solution that was launched by Santander Consumer Free in France, where a customer can now go to the Tesla website and get the car and the loan in one seamless journey. This solution was built in a fraction of the time due to being able to reuse the digital assets developed in Portugal. Launching a new product took too long and it was not flexible enough. Therefore, we decoupled the products and pricing component from the core and built a component that powers the entire process from simulation to underwriting. This really improved the time to market for all products.
Very well. If we go to the next slide, we can have an overview of different initiatives. And so the next future program included 47 different initiatives and 14 new solutions to be built by a multidisciplinary team from IT, from operations and various business departments. And so it was a company-wide transformation and also by KPMG. I think all of these share the same foundational features, I would say. So an omni-channel approach from simulation to payment, front-end mobile first with fully responsive digital experiences, digital know your customer, authentication and document signature, integration with business partners through APIs, single-end customer home banking. So can you give us a bit more detail on some of these key solutions?
Yes, of course. Due to their impact on business, I would mention the following solutions. E-commerce, for example. This is a solution that offers consumer finance product as a payment option in partners e-commerce portals. As we mentioned already, Tesla, but in Portugal we have a lot of examples. Digital cash loans is a consumer credit solution to provide online personal credit. New Dealers Portal for auto and durables is a B2B solution that supports entire business acquisitions through dealer networks. It's 100% digital from simulation to payment. And this solution simplified and improved the onboarding experience for auto and consumer dealers and their customers by enabling document upload and real-time status updates through the process. And with full integration with online decision engines like central bank, credit bureaus, fraud control systems, and ID government authentication. Last but not least, we developed the new fully integrated solution for credit recovery and associated litigation.
Very well, a very large scope. So finally, yes, some key results for this, because I think they are very interesting.
I can highlight that the program was concluded within the timings initially defined. And I can say that the scope was not the same, but it was very similar, but much greater than it was initially defined. It was we implemented new ways of doing business. A renewed and fast onboarding journeys and a responsible lending process was achieved. All of these promoting a much better experience for customers, partners, and employees, because we develop an internal portal for all the employees in the bank. It was also possible to replace 70% of the core system functions and streamline the operations based on the new architecture. Having such high degree of core replacement really came as a surprise to us, but it was a goal, but it was a surprise, the 70%. But it really shows the capability of this technology and approach to tackle the transformation at all layers, at the front, middle, and back. The Outsystems agile development approach has greatly contributed to the success of the program. It has improved our agile practices and helped us involving the business users in a much more responsive way. Thank you.
Thank you, Domingos, for sharing these great insights. And so maybe I hand over to Hishan to see some of these Outsystems in action. Thank you.
Thank you, Bruno. Thank you very much. So I'll try quickly to share my screen here and walk you through demo on the platform after all the interesting discussions that we've heard so far. We'll just have a break from the slides and see the platform. So what I'm planning to show you quickly, and I'll try to leave time for the questions because I've been seeing lots of questions on the Q&A. So what I'm planning to show you is I'm going to show you a sample app that that's a generic app about the platform that has the capability of being an omni-channel platform, like an e-services or like an omni-channel platform that provides services from a utility of a government to the customer, just covering multiple use cases. We've seen this not only from Bruno's and Domenico's discussion, but even from Rodrigo's slides, that the platform is capable on multiple use cases, and it can cover multiple use cases as well. So this, for example, it's a typical e-services platform that has omni-channel on multiple applications. I'll show you the web and the mobile, and show you how we built it, as well as Outsystems that has the core modules from billing, services, notifications, dashboards and reportings, as even workflows and approvals as well. So mainly the main modules that any use case or most of the application use cases will need. You will see here that this is the application itself with its complete modules. I can see the billings that I can have. I can have my payment gateways, and I can do the payments. I'll quickly go through the applications as well. I can even start new contracts or starting the new services from here, from the platform, and start having my e-services and workflows and business processes also on the platform as well. Moreover, what I can have is I can have here the mobile application, and this is my mobile app here. So even the platform, and again, stressing on the multi-channel and the omni-channel, I can have the native mobile version generated from the platform, and I'll show you this when I move to the platform. You can have the native mobile version of the app. So you can here see the same app that I have. I can see the same payments, and I can of course do the same. Sorry, I just logged out. Let me just log in again quickly. So yeah, so going to the bills and payments, so I can quickly go and do the payments here or do whatever features that I have on the mobile. So regarding the use case, Outsystems as a platform, as an end-to-end platform, have the capability to do that and have the features and the functionalities of your app, giving all the accelerators. And I believe it was mentioned not only in Rodrigo's slides, but even with Bruno and Domenico's conversation as well, how the accelerators help in achieving the business requirements in a better way from a chatbot perspective, or from, for example, if I asked, let me just go here, that's the slides. So this is the keyboard here. How much is my bill, for example? So how much is my bill? So for example, having such a feature on the application isn't as hard, because we have these as an accelerators. They can easily increase the features and increase such capabilities in your app, whether it's web or mobile, or even PWA as a progressive web apps in your to your end users, whether it's internal or external as well. So this is, for example, a quick application that I wanted to show you, just to put the use case in real features or in real apps. And then I'll switch now to the studio. So this is where the platform, or where this is the full stack. So if you remember Rodrigo's slide, he had the 4 pillars, or the visual, or sorry, the complete platform overview, from having an end-to-end platform, sorry, where you can build all your applications. So this is where I built, or this is all where I build all my applications and components and helper modules. It's called the Service Studios. It's the visual IDE of the platform. So you can see here that I opened the same application that I was just showing you, right? And not only this, I'm the same developer. I can do everything on the app, or if I have a team, I can build the app in a modular approach, and this is exactly what we did. So we built the applications on a modular approach, distributing the workload for my team skills and my team capabilities as well. So this, for example, the web applications that I showed you, right? You can see here that I have the 4 layers of architecture, or the 4 layers of the visual full stack application development, starting from the data model, where I can build my complete data model visually on the platform, building databases, extraction from external databases, and doing everything here. Going next to the logic layer, where I build my application logic. So I can start building my behavior of the applications, the features, the functions, everything I do it visually, right? I can drag and drop here easily and start adding features on the platform as well, and start doing everything in a visual, very fast, accelerated way to reach to my needed feature as well. Also on the logic layer, what you can do is you can easily rely on the or leverage the good capability of Outsystems integration from REST, SOAP, adapters, SAP, or other applications, CRMs or databases, integrations that we have here as a components or accelerators that facilitate and accelerate your integration with other systems. And you can easily have it here visually, that you can drag it and drop it and build your logic the way that you want it, or the way the business requirement is. So this is where you can manage your application logic. And of course, the interface, which has to be a top pixel or a perfect pixel application. And for that, for example, this is the application that I was showing you. This is the landing page that we had that had the charts and everything. So Outsystems had its own UI framework that provides all of these templates and all of these components, where you can easily drag and drop, rely, build your own template, customize, and have it completely pixel perfect, or as we call it, to reach the frictionless experience to your users, right? You want them to use the application without any frictions, and you can build all of that here. You can see that I have here lots of components, right, that are available from the Outsystems. I can still customize them, do my own components, bring my own components if my team is already autonomous and they have their own components on the UI front end, and then I can easily drag them and drop them in the application anywhere and have it there as well. If you also notice, I am the same developer. I can work on the application from its layer. Everything is visual. Everything is easy. I can distribute it in multiple teams. So, for example, here, which is the last layer, which is the workflows. So, for example, I build the applications, the web and the mobile as a front end, and then I build like a centralized module where I have the workflows. And here, this is, for example, how you build the workflows, which is the 4th layer that you have in your IDE. You can easily see the workflows here. You can have all the emails, the SLAs, the approvals and everything. You can even have sub-process. So you can see here that this step is a sub-process where you can double click and you see the sub-process with its branching and its rules and everything. So you can easily achieve your business processes and your case management, relying on the Outsystems capabilities in that aspect. And finally, if you want to build a mobile application, it's as simple as relying on the workflows, on the data and everything that we already built. So there is lots and a great factor of reusability in Outsystems. You don't have to rebuild everything again. So you have Outsystems. You can build the mobile application here, relying on the data, logic, and interface and process that can be only for the mobile, or you can rely and reuse from other modules in your application, or even from different applications. So you can have one connector to your databases or to your intermediate layer or APIs, and then reuse them in multiple apps here as well. The same for the workflows. You can use it in multiple channels and multiple front ends. You build the mobile application here, and you can have it generated as iOS, Android, or PWA. So as you can see, for example, let me just go to this one here. If I go to the details of the application, I can see that I have an option here from the same studio. Just notice that everything I do is from the same IDE. So this facilitate and accelerate the work as well. You can still control it and monitor it from a team perspective and roles perspective, like team leaders, junior developers and senior developers and release managers and all of that. But I can here see that from the platform itself, I'll be able to generate the iOS and the Android apps, the one that I showed you, and even a PWA, which is a progressive web app, which is a very, very good channel that you can use in Outsystems to increase your reach and facilitate the reach to your end user, and instead of having the native iOS and Android applications as well. So this is very quickly what the platform can do. The last thing that I wanted to mention is the Forge. This was also mentioned in Rodrigo's slide, like Outsystems, a part of the acceleration that Outsystems provide is the Forge component or the Forge marketplace. So this is the marketplace of Outsystems, where you have more than 4,000 components available for your team while they're building the application to accelerate the features and development of the app. So there you can find, so here you can see all the categories. You can have sample apps, right? You can have integrations, connectors, device capabilities, charts, user interface. So if you want to have like Google Maps, the likes of Oracle, SQL, MongoDB, connectors, other systems, so you can easily have it here. So you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can just have the components here, plug it and play it in your app and reuse it. So in another word, your team will focus on the what features to implement from the business perspective, not on how to implement it, because Outsystems will accelerate that. And by that, I'll just move it back to Fadi and for the Q&A, because I believe we have some questions.
Hi, everyone. Hope you can still hear me well. Look, we heard from a number of colleagues this afternoon. We started with Rodrigo talking about the major components of the solution. Then Ankit talked to us about where is low code, no code these days, the adoption, how it has been increasing and being leveraged by different clients in different situations, be it developing new solutions, improving business processes, modernizing legacy systems. We heard about the different benefits around speed, around the total cost of ownership, and of course, around the UI and the modern look of the application. We talked about the journey of building a low-code practice within a business. We also had the pleasure to hear about the experience from Santander and how they went about a large transformation and how Outsystems was at the heart of this transformation. I like one thing I heard from Domingo, which is you have to see to believe. And I think Hisham really outlined this. We saw a little bit of it very quickly, but it gives you a sense that you can believe it can be done because of the ease of use of the tool set. So be it from a look and feel of the final application or even the environment, the development environment. With that, I know we are almost at the end of our time. So Dalia, I will turn it back to you. I know some of the questions that were in the chat have already been answered. Not sure if there are some that are still not answered. Happy to stick around for a few more minutes. And of course, what we will do is submit the answers to all these questions to everyone who has registered to the session today. So Dalia, back to you to tell us how we move forward with the remaining time we have.
Thank you, Fadi. So first question we have for Dominikus was, besides the technical considerations, what other issues would you highlight in a transformation of this magnitude?
Thank you, Dalia. As I mentioned before, digital transformation is not only about technology. It's everybody business, and you have to maintain a very good communication every time. And you have to maintain the management very close to the project. A transformation really requires a big cultural shift. One of the first things we did was to build a set of MVPs that shown our people that change was real to happen. I have to talk about another important aspect. You have to find partners for the project who have a good vision and understand your strategy and your business. In our case, Outsystems platform and the support from KPMG gave us the means to actually be able to deliver on the promise.
Thank you, Dominique. Bruno, question for you. What advantage other than development speed does Outsystems brings to customers?
So I would highlight some of the things that we've been also Rodrigo told in the beginning, and we have been talking about throughout the section. One very important point for me on Outsystems is the skill set. So it's very hard for most of the customers to have the right skill set mix to actually be able to deliver complex applications. So if you want to do like in this Santander in a traditional fashion, you would have to have iOS developers, Android developers, React developers, Java or .NET developers, integration, the core, the BPMs. And so this is very hard to actually get all this team on board and to manage this team and make sure that it goes properly. And so Outsystems, basically a small team can tackle all these use cases, and this is very key for a complex transformation. Another very important thing is that since the Outsystems platform encapsulates most of the complexities of the traditional development, so the teams will have more time to actually work closer to the business. And this means, and they have the means to iterate through the solutions until they get it right. We all know that in a transformation, usually we don't know upfront exactly what we are trying to achieve, exactly the requirements that we are going to get. And this is sometimes the case for failures in this kind of projects. And so I think Outsystems really brings these capabilities to the table.
Thank you, Bruno. A question, I believe this for Hisham. Are the chatbot and other cloud services provided by Outsystems?
Thank you, Dalia. Yeah, so the connectors and the front-end components and the accelerators, as I mentioned, they are available in the marketplace, but the engines, it will be provided from the cloud provider itself. So to plug in your engine or the cloud service provider engine into your app, you would need to have it through the accelerators, which is provided from the Outsystems itself on the marketplace, on the Forge.
Thank you, Hisham. And with that, it's a wrap. Thank you all for joining us on today's session. We'll be sharing with you the presentation, and please feel free if you have any questions to email us at the KPMG or Outsystems email provided on screen, which we'll also share with you in the follow-up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.